The episode opens with a shot of Wagon's ass. This has to be the most juvenile Sentai series. Aside from that, the episode's actually rather good. Yeah, we're doing Toqger 24, Gaim 41, and Garo 19. Yeah, I've done. I know. Yeah, Toqger was good this week again, which baffles me. You know my track record. There are some annoying things in it as always, but overall, the team enters a shadow town. Pretty much what happens to every place they take over after it's been completely consumed by darkness. And they can't transform for more than 30 seconds in it. Now, this is first discovered when immediately after they do their poses, they lose their powers. I found this hilarious, as their posing is one of the more excessive, I guess. Kyoryuger's takes forever, but at least it seems like it's intercut It's more energetically intercut. So yeah, they power down immediately after doing the pose, and then they have to run for it, because the control over the town is way too powerful. He's based on a rook, as in the chess piece. I wonder if the other town holders are similarly based on chess pieces, because that would be kind of clever, considering... No, we've not seen any chess themology there, but it'd still be, guard. Oh, right, rooks are supposed to be the guard piece. Where's my head today? So, they figure out that they can only be transformed for 30 seconds at a time, but remember they have form switching and can give all the trains to one person, so instead of 30 seconds, they got 2.5 minutes. And then they give them all to Right. Again. This irritates me, as Right is always the one to take the trains even without asking, and is in fact used them all the most, versus the others who's... Okay, in that context, it seems like it's more the experienced one with the form changing, instead of, I don't know, Hikari, who could, using his intelligence, more easily find a weak point to damage the monster and weaken enough for the kill in that 2.5 minute window, because let's face it, Right screws up a lot. In fact, as Miyu is giving Right her train, she tells him not to screw it up in the most likely way he would. And then he goes, the rest of them are holding off Kuro's, except for Akira, because he can't go in the Shadow Town for some reason. I think it's because, former Shadow Kaijin, it might cause him to revert, which is something to deal with later. Or he was guarding the entrance. Actually, he was guarding the entrance because he has to fight Nero and a bunch of the Kuros to stop them from entering and supporting the guard. So they kill the monster, making it grow, but before it grows... Actually, have we seen why they grow this season? Do we have a reason for that at all? Because usually they give a justification or an explanation for why they grow. I can't remember one. So, yeah, before it grows, the Shadow Town thing collapses and it's restored to reality. I don't know how they would miss an entire town vanishing, but maybe it's some type of spatial compression or perception filter kind of thing. I don't know. And they call in the trains. Then it grows even more massive, like twice the normal size of a kaijin, thanks to absorbing a bunch of the Kuro foot soldiers. Don't know how that works, but it does. And, of course, they form Chocho Tokyu Daio to destroy the staff, which they could have done without combining. All they need to do was shoot the staff. I have mentioned before these people are idiots. It's showing off the train. One thing I did realize from it with how they were using the trains in this one is the kind of the roles, the different roles they play. Like, main Tokyo is commercial, but then we have the Dieselo trio and the rest of the support Russia in that they're business, or, not just business, they're, work lines. Even the, Build Russia fall under that. It's like, commercial, fun. Work, that's old man stuff. And that's why the Diesel Russia is called the Old Man. And then there's the Build Russia, who is fixing things. I don't know why, that's just how it came up in relation in my head. So now they've got a plan. With the restoration of part of the Rainbow Line from the Shadow Line and the restoration of another city, they've got more routes of the Rainbow Line available now, and they can find more junction points where there are other shadow towns they can explore to see if it's their home. So we finally have a direction to the series, aside from the villains. Speaking of, the villains are once again the most interesting part of this show. Nero realizing Zet's greater vision of absorbing the shadow, and not just making more shadow, but more polarizing shadow in the sparkly darkness. I don't know exactly how that works, but, you know, without darkness, light cannot shine, so by absorbing the light... Actually, I went over this previously, didn't I? Hey, they create a stronger darkness from the twilight? Yeah. It's always darkest just before the dawn, eternal twilight. Yes, I could see that. And of course, Noir tries to kill Zed for killing her daughter. I don't see why she'd care. She forced Rita into this in the first place. Yeah. But Zed also sees Shadow of Greta in the mirror, so maybe like Zed, she's also not completely gone. It's possible. Wouldn't really care at this point, but... Gaim! The Overlords are dead. Yay? Oh, and Kota's now an Overlord. So, the Overlord King is dead. Oh, long live the Overlord King! Also, really big surprise. Oren and Jonichi lived! Yeah, I'm part of the camp that likes Oren. He's that wild card, interesting, fun character that's sadly only there for comic relief. It's kind of working comic relief. I like him as a character. It's just that, you know, the comedy usually gets stupid, especially when Jonichi is used as a butt monkey. Actually, they kind of weaponize his butt monkey status to escape from Michi, in that they actually land a really good blow before retreating, because they know how far they can go against an energy rider before, you know, they get their ass kicked. And even though Michi is exhausted from fighting Kaito, he's still powerful enough with the energy, with the Genesis driver, to be a threat to even the strongest and, by proxy, weakest teammate of the, you know, standard Lockseed users to... Yeah. Trying to think of what else. Oh, and Kaito's opening bit is him calling out Michi on what everybody in the fandom has been shouting about him since the heel face turn. In fact, before the heel face turn. Actually, he's heel face turned so many times in different directions, it's hard to tell what it is, but it's pretty much calling him out for being a spoiled brat that wants everything his way, and it was really well done. It wasn't even in suit at this point, it was just beating on each other without being transformed. And then Kaito goes with Kota to find Roshuo to save Mai, except Roshuo's already saved Mai, and sent her back to the human realm through a crack, which, as shown previously, he can open on his own, to test the mettle of, the test Kota in person. We got a really good tying back thing. Not the Priestess of Fate that we've been seeing periodically throughout the series? She's always had a flower in her hair. And last episode at the end, Kota was creating Helheim vines spontaneously because of his transformation into an overlord. The official transformation. Or at least the line where it's become noticeable that he is becoming an overlord. And a flower blooms. It is the exact same flower as the one in her hair. So, that not my can still be like a future echo of current Mai. And at the end of the episode, Roshuo, when he shoved Mai back into the real world, he put the golden fruit in her. And at the end of the episode, we see one of her eyes is turned red. It's the same eye the Priestess of Fate has in her heterochromia that's red. Meaning, the Priestess of Fate might be a future echo of Mai trying to stop these events from happening while she has the power of the forbidden fruit in her. That might get disproven. Some of my other theories have gotten disproven at this point too, but this wouldn't surprise me. I mean, it'd still invalidate that first opening scene, but at this point, I'm thinking that's just an XP of one of the final battles of the Femushinmu civilization, because that would also be something that kind of works in its own way, I guess. But we've seen before with Gen Urobuchi series that when he fast forward and then lets things play out, it doesn't always match up. It's like teasing at what could be and then showing us the true story, even if it wraps around. I remember that with Madoka Magica. The fight against Roshuo, there's really no point to it. I mean, he's already gotten rid of the forbidden fruit. They weren't really after the forbidden fruit at this point more than Mai, and they're really, if they'd been had it been phrased, will you help us save our world since yours is pretty much over with, you got no one left, and had it been passed my test and you may just get it, I think that would have made them go more all out than half-assing it, because Kota really doesn't have a reason to half-ass it anymore. And he spends most of the fight with Roshuo in Kachidoki arms exclusively. I'm trying to phrase this correctly. I think had this happened, before this last decision point, I think it would have been a bit more mild, and yet they could have reached an understanding without Roshuo dying. Of course, Roshuo isn't killed at Kota's hands, though he does pass Roshuo's test. Really, finding the scene, it's pretty impressive, because at the end of it, Kota still passes whatever test of conviction Roshuo was giving him, and then Redyu kills him for the forbidden fruit, finds the one that he seemed to still have was just a rotted Helheim fruit, which was done by an illusion, which makes Redyu completely bug out and go temper tantrum that we've been seeing from Michi. And, comparable, we've been seeing color comparisons between the Overlords and the main riders. Tagatori in white, corresponding to Roshuo. Demushu and Kaito, and of course Ryu and Michi, and seeing her lose her composure over this really shows how much her and Michi did have in common, which makes it all the much funnier my "I want to know what love is" joke from a few weeks back. Of course, in the Gaim summer movie, we see Kota's comparison with the dead overlord that became Kamen Rider Kamuro. Long story, I'm going to wait for the movie to get the clearer details. And yeah, Kota has the Kiwami lock, not the Kachidoki lock seed broken, but as he sees what Ryu is making a big deal out of over, betraying the last of your comrades and everything, it puts him over the edge. His eyes go red, and he takes the broken Kachidoki lock seed in his hand and reforms it. I'm not exactly sure what to say to this. I mean, it's obviously the Overlord transformation allowing him to reshape Helheim Fruit like Sagara did, and that's not an unknown or aberrant power at this point. Well, I think it's because it's been influenced by the belt. They've been able to redo lock seeds previously, or not redo, reshape the Helheim Fruit previously, and since the Kachidoki was made from an earth fruit, it's aberrant in and of itself, and yeah, I got nothing. That is kind of a gaping plot hole thing, because we're pretty sure Sagara is the devil or the manifestation of the power of the Helheim or something along those lines that's, continuous, that it's its herald or something like that, so him having that power is not unusual, I guess. It's just something's not matching up with that. But yeah, he uses it to go Kiwami and takes Rosho's weapon to finally deal critical damage to Ryu before finishing him off. And of course, now they've got to clean up the rest of the Invest, the rest of the Helheim Fruits, and stop the continuing Helheim Front invasion. Hopefully with the Forbidden Fruit, which is painfully resting in Mai. And Michi correctly guessed the Forbidden Fruit is in Mai, and Ryoma was watching the entire thing under the cloaking device he somehow has. So he knows that the Golden Fruit is in Mai. Also, next week, Michi gets another transformation that's going to kill him. Yay, the character everyone hates dies. Garo. This one's kind of tough to judge, because, well, the horror of the week is musical-based. Now, it used mainly classical music and tried to make it descriptive of the people he was eating, but he eats like 6 people in the span of 12 minutes. It's a bit too fast-paced even for this show. So, yeah, it plays music that encapsulates the soul of that person. And it's not like super graphic, it's just a bunch of musicians come out of nowhere and they dance around the person before his entire body is swapped up into musical notes, which the horror eats. And the horror has this really weird penciled on mustache. It looks pretty cheap, but it's entertaining because the guy has so much energy. It's like he's dancing all around conducting it. Just that it gets ridiculously repetitive because it's the same thing over and over again. I did like the choice for Mayuri. The song they played for her when they got to confronting it was Swan Lake. Now, this is indicative as 1931's Dracula. The theme played for it was Swan Lake. So, it's like depictive of a monster, and well, it's become connected to a monster, I should say, and I don't know, I just felt like it fit, especially as it was going over Mayuri's life in that she's cursed to be this, well, curse. She is the curse of the horror-stealing human, and it's not a curse that can be broken, which in normal fairy tales or mythology, the girl survives in the end. Hell, that was the story of her mother. Cursed, saved, got her Prince Charming. Not Mayuri's mother, sorry, Raiga's mother, Kaoru. Why did I say Mayuri's mother? Brain. But that's not going to be her, as far as anyone knows. This is Garo, after all. So, of course, Raiga confronts it and wins, fighting it to a orchestral version of the theme song for the series. And it's like, that's supposed to be the song of his soul. So, Mayuri is literally playing witness to a expression of his soul, and this is the whole forbidden romance thing, I can just tell. And, well, it's been teased for a while. And, I wouldn't say it's a bad episode, but there's not exactly a lot going for it. And a problem with this season is that it pays so much attention to the monster that they forget to develop the characters. Now, that's a general problem with Garo, but they seem to be hitting it more in this one than... Okay, I've only seen one other Garo series through to date, but it's a lot more in excess. You barely even get segments with the cast. It's just tease the monster's powers, the protagonists prepare to fight it. That's it. I mean, we still don't even have anything for Kuro in concrete character development. I still like the series a lot because it's just fun, but I'm getting irritated at the lack of character depth, I guess. I'm expecting a bad episode of Toqger when I get around to doing this next week. Gaim will be final status quo, because we've got a set date, end of 45-46 in the next month. And Garo, since it goes for 25 episodes at a time, we're at the last 6 of the air too. I really hope Drive doesn't suck, because then I'm going to be raging about 2 series out of 3. Well, I guess not 3, because the third one will have ended. Say, you don't not want to hear me raging for a half hour when I don't have my argument structured out like this. It gets pretty bad. I mean, I can list off Toqger's problems easy enough because I'm constantly contrasted by these other good shows, so it's like compare and contrast. What was good here? What was bad there? But if I don't get anything good in with the bad, I guess it makes me more vitriolic, I think the phrase is. I don't appear as balanced in my presentation. Yeah. By now, if you've been watching this long enough, you know I'm not very good at speaking without thinking it through first, and words do not come easily to me. So, see y'all next week.